headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.
That was the first press conference I've looked forward to for 700 days. Yes, it's been that long since we were told we had to stay inside to flatten the curve for 3 weeks. I think like a lot of the nation, these Downing Street press conferences have come along and I've just felt the sense of doom, like, oh God, what are they going to tell us next, And I was actually quite looking forward to yesterday's. So they did their good
I watched
guy,
Emmerdale.
bad.
It was on ITV.
Did
no,
you really?
I did. No, I
Did
didn't.
you?
No. Mind you, I wouldn't mind betting that Emmerdale didn't get a very good audience.
But I didn't watch it live. This is the thing I do. I don't watch it live because I think you can more dispassionately assess it when you're watching it.
Wind through the graphs.
Well, you can pick and choose, and you can be a bit more of a witness to it rather than a participant. Yeah. But they did their good cop, bad cop routine there. So Boris Johnson had a very confident, very happy delivery. He's got the good news. And then, the chief medical officer, the chief scientific officer have got the bad news. But I don't think the nation is really still in fear. I mean, some people are anxious about restrictions being lifted. I think most people are more than ready to move on. And we've got a big sign that that's what the state wants us to do. So we've got the Queen, who is triple vaccinated but has Omicron. Mm-hmm. And she is continuing with light duties. There could not be a clearer message. If the Queen in her 90s can catch Omicron and still continue, it's time to keep calm and carry on. It's a nudge.
She's withdrawn from even virtual engagements today, but the palace are at pains to point out that she is suffering due to COVID, and I use their term precisely, mild cold-like symptoms. So millions of people. You're right, Laura. Most people in this country, as in the majority, are ready to return to normal, and indeed are doing so. And it'll get even better on Thursday. But a sizable minority, millions of people, are still terrified. And they might like to take notice of what the Buckingham Palace just said, that the Queen's got Omicron. Yeah. She has mild cold-like symptoms. This is what they're quivering about, a condition that gives you mild cold-like symptoms. It's crazy.
Well, I think that, some people are going to need a soft landing. There's going to be anxiety. Those levels will need to come down. We had Keir Starmer saying, what's the scientific evidence for relaxing restrictions? Well, let's turn this round. What was the scientific evidence for imposing them? Yeah. There wasn't. To continue them? Neither. So it's just going to be a little period of time, and then I think we'll get back to normal. And actually, I think that the announcement about the Queen is being handled in such a way as to give people reassurance. It's a bit of a royal nudge. Just as we saw the younger royalty posting their vaccination selfies in order to encourage vaccination. The royal family will allow themselves to be co-opted for the state of the nation. Co-opted might not be quite the right word. To do their duty publicly, to bring people along with them. I think that's what this announcement about the Queen is about. But it's not all good news yesterday, actually. There's a couple of things I want to bring up from that conference. So Boris Johnson was very confident. It was a very, bombastic, happy delivery. But he talked about two things, the 100-day plan for future pandemics and also the World Health Organization treaty. I don't really know why we have to set these numbers on things. Why do we have to have therapeutics, diagnostics and a vaccine within 100 days? It's like moonshots or net zero. They want to pull these kind of ridiculous targets out of thin air for us to work to. Call me crazy, but I don't know if I want a vaccine or a therapeutic that's developed within 100 days. That all sounds a bit quick, but there's that. More worrying, though, is the idea of an international treaty to deal with pandemics.
Yes, so effectively, if this was agreed, we'd all have to do exactly what the World Health Organization told us. That is a terrifying prospect. I wouldn't do the first thing that lot told us.
Well, that's exactly what they want. Now, it is being downgraded a little bit. So the World Health Organization want there to be a legally binding treaty. Now, remember, they're not accountable to us. We don't elect them. They're unelected health bureaucrats. I might call them medical imperialists. Now, if they got everything right, if we were really confident, then it would be one thing. But let's think back to the beginning of the pandemic. They were very quick to believe China about everything. If you remember in those really early days, they said there was no evidence for human-to-human transmission. Wrong. They praised China for its robust approach. So
I know.
basically, when they welded people into their flats, that really strict lockdown, the World Health Organization praised them for it, and they haven't.
Which is why every country in the world copied them. The
Right.
communist blueprint for how to deal with the COVID crisis, lockdown and lockdown hard. There was no evidence to prove that was the way to go, and in fact, it looks as if it really wasn't the way to go.
No, exactly. And it also was the opposite of the World Health Organization's existing pandemic plans. Not only that, it was just quite clearly brutal. I watched the footage and I thought, my goodness, the poor Chinese, the poor people in Wuhan. And then, lo and behold, we fell like dominoes around the world and mimicked it one way or another. Also, they did not do a good job of going in and investigating the potential lab leak. So I would not want the World Health Organization to be able to impose a legally binding pandemic plan on us in future for any virus outbreak, including influenza even. So this seems to be being downgraded from a treaty to a pandemic pact. So it's got a bit less teeth. And by the time it comes to fruition in a couple of years, let's just hope it's an accord.
I just think it just makes absolute sense that every country deals with it on an independent basis so that they know the needs of their own nation. As we discovered over the past couple of years, that could mean that every single country makes a mistake, but they must do it on a local basis. You cannot get a centralised force like the WHO telling countries thousands of miles away what they should do. That would be absolute madness.
Because you've got different social and economic situations in different countries. The way the sub-Saharan South should handle a pandemic is completely different to the way we should handle it. We've got totally different health and economic needs. Not only that, but I don't really see how it'd work. I mean, there's a lot to be benefited from data gathering, new strains on the ground. Let's gather that data. But the EU has even blocked the vaccine patents being released around the world, haven't they? I've probably just said that wrong, but I don't really see how we can have true vaccine equity when obviously private profit-making companies naturally don't want to share that. So I don't see how we can really have a legally binding agreement that every country is going to sign up to. I'm sure the US and China wouldn't anyway.
Good talk.
Hot talk. Bold talk. Talk radio.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Watch it live on your smart TV.
The world headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.